So hello and welcome back yet again to Exploring Azeroth. We're starting off with Onyx this week. Beryl will come in for the one area that is Alliance only, but we've been Beryl heavy for the last couple of episodes, so I thought it was time to give Onyx a turn. So we're heading into Felwood, which is a very interesting place because it's one of the places that honestly even the Night Elves abandoned a very long time ago. It's been a corrupted woods for a very, very long time. You can definitely see a lot of Night Elf ruins that are all through Felwood, but the only actual encampments, there is one Horde encampment, there is one Alliance encampment, and then everything else is just Cenarian Circle, which is the druids trying their darndest to see if maybe they can't actually reclaim this area. Doesn't seem to be going extremely well because, like I said, it's a very corrupted area. But it's full of all sorts of interesting old structures like this right here. Just old night elf ruins. I do wish that they were more explorable, but alas, they're not. The interesting thing about Morlos Aran here is it's one of the few places in the game where you are likely to find purple lotus, which is an herb used in some of, I guess, the higher level crafting recipes for the classic era. Also, there's a ton of mithril, and so if you're looking just to mine mithril, this is a good spot to do it. Probably not the best spot to do it, but if you happen to be a miner and an herbalist, this is a good area to just do a bunch of laps in. It also happens to be home to one of, I guess, only two uncorrupted furbolg races. Now, it's also home to a lot of corrupted furbolgs, one of which encampments is here at Deadwood Village, where you do a bunch of, honestly, quite amusing quests for three furbolg cubs who are inhabiting this structure right here. They give you quests because they want honey, and they want you to do a dumb little dance for them, and then they run off. Now, the Cenarian Circle has been in Felwood, like I said. They are trying their best to see if they can't deal with the corruption there, but it doesn't seem to be going really good. On a more personal note, they do have a couple of absolutely wonderful houses. So if you're looking for a night elf type house, which I'm honestly starting to wonder if I can't recreate in The Sims 4 like I did the Lion's Pride Inn. That might be my next project. But yeah, we have a nice unclaimed and unoccupied night elf house. Or if you aren't into the night elf house, we do have a little horde tent over here if you would prefer a nice little Tauren style house for you. You got your choices here. And that is one thing that I actually really like about Felwood is you actually have a decent spread of houses. And if you know anything about me, that is one of my obsessions, is finding a good house. Now, I've got a lot of memories of Felwood and doing a lot of questing here back before it became so incredibly easy to do. I ground out the winter pelt, or I ground out and got the They Love Me in That Tunnel achievement long before they nerfed the furbolg reputation. Like, I don't know why that became my obsession, but I ground that out forever. And I finally got it, so I was very proud of myself. Now, there's also a very funny quest chain, at least I find it funny, with Impsy, who is a cute little imp, And there he is. Hello, MC. He is quite hilarious. You have to capture him by popping him into your sack, and boy, oh boy, does he make a lot of comments when he is in the sack on your back. It always makes me laugh. There's another little encampment up here with a flight point. It's kind of small. There's not much to it, just a couple little tents. Nothing exciting, but that is Wildheart Point right there. They want you to go down here and investigate all of these various tainted areas. I think you might have to kill a bunch of these slimes for them, deal with some satyrs, all of that fun nonsense. And this actually, despite the fact that I don't do it on every character, I actually do like most of the quest chains in Felwood. They kind of make me smile. And one of my very favorite hunter pets is actually found here. Now over here we have Jadenar, which is a satyr area that you will do a lot of questing in. And in Jadenar is Jadefire Run. I think that is the name of it. I'm going to feel really dumb if it's not. But anyway, you do a bunch of quests here for Aldenar, Andlar Shadevale, where you're going to go down here into the Shadow Hold. You're going to get hopelessly lost if you're me. Maybe if you're you, you won't get hopelessly lost. But I get so lost in these barrow dens. But you come down here, you do a lot of different quests, and I think even Blizzard knows how lost people get in these things, because at the end of the quest chain, you actually get teleported back out, which I always really appreciate. I don't think that you used to get teleported back out, but you do now. There's also a corrupted moonwell here, where you have to get some corrupted moonwell water and see if it can't be purified. Also of note, if you happen to be someone who is into pet battling, this is also where you have a horde pet battle. I think I tried to point out most of the Eastern Kingdom's alliance pet battles, and I don't know if I've been doing a good job of pointing out where all the horde ones are. There's also a abandoned horde encampment up here, and a very hilarious quest chain involving this poor Tauren here, Altsoba Rage Totem, and Kelnir Leaf Song. Kelnir's trying to purge him of all of the slime toxins, and the quest involves a lot of vomiting. It does kind of make me laugh though. But this used to be a horde encampment back before the Cataclysm, and it's kind of been taken over by all these slimes. You do a lot about the slimes, and you find out that it's all because of one Forsaken, and the ultimate goal is to get the ear tag of Winna's kitten here, who is one of my very favorite hunter pets because he's just got such a unique coat. Like, if you want a green and orange striped tiger, this is where to get him. There's also another rare that normally spawns here, not as cool looking to me, but there is Phydonos. Pronunciation is never going to be my strong suit. So we're going to run up here and check out this old Blood Venom post. If you were around in Classic WoW, you probably remember doing quests here. Unfortunately, you cannot do quests here anymore because Winna Hazard here has completely messed everything up, and it's because of her that the Blood Venom post had to be abandoned. So we're going to move on a little bit, move on away from there. The Horde did establish a new encampment, but it's a little bit further away. Also, And this one kind of gets me a little bit cranky because I spent so much time farming this pet before they made it much, much easier to find. But this Minfernal here, it used to be that they only came up as a tameable pet every once in a while. Like, it was a very rare thing, and it would be a server-wide broadcast that there were Minfernals at the Scar Vale. Now they're here all the time. But I did get my Minfernal before they got patched in to be quite common. I never know if I'm happy when Blizzard does that or not. I think I am. Because even if I like something being exclusive, I also like for everybody to be able to get something. So, I don't know. Alright, well, back to my house hunting. There is another nice apartment up here. You just have to put up with having a roommate in Archdruid Navarax, but there is a couple of empty, or at least a empty house here as well. Like I said, housing, since Blizzard still hasn't seen fit to give it to us, has become one of my big obsessions. I always like to check out all of the houses, and here at Whisperwind Grove, there actually is one. There's also a couple of really fun quest chains here, one of which involves washing the local wildlife, which, you gotta admit, it's kind of funny. So, where is that house? I think it is this one right here. Is a very nice little, again, night elf house. So if you're looking for housing, Whisperwind Grove has it for you. This is also one of the best areas to get Cenarian Circle rep, which is a little bit different than the other Cenarian rep that you can get, and it's one of very few places that you can get it. This is also where you would pick up the quest to plant a new ancient, and that is a very fun quest. You start with a little tiny seed and take it up through being a treant all the way up until he becomes an ancient just like this. Although, would he be considered an ancient if he's not actually ancient yet? It's a fun quest chain. I do like to point out all of the fun quest chains in World of Warcraft because there are just so many of them. Alright, now we're getting up to our last little bit, which is our Horde area. And if you are a Horde player and you're looking for some Horde exclusive houses, this is also where you can find that. Because you have a couple of little goblin houses here. This one might not exactly be a house, but it does have a cute little chair and a nice pinup calendar on the wall. And the wonderful goblin music. But here is your very own little goblin house. I mean, you have to put up with the fact that the tiki drinks look like they might be a little bit old. They're looking like there's a little bit of flies on them. But you know, you got a little bit of Chinese food. You got your rum up on the bunk bed. You can hang your clothes, and you even have a ceiling fan if you want this to be your house. I can't help it. Housing is, until Blizzard finally sees fit to actually give us housing, which I'm not going to hold my breath on, this is as close as we can get. There's also a really fun little mine here, if you don't mind getting just a little bit lost down here in the Iron Tree Cavern. I mean, you might also have to watch out for a few moss flares and other things, but it is kind of a cool little cavern. I can't remember if there's anything amazing in this cave or if it's just moss flares everywhere, but, you know, your typical big old cave. I think that this might have something to do with the quests from the Worgen. I'm fairly certain. been a hot minute since I've done them. So we're going to mount up and go check out the actual horde area. So we're going to leave the iron tree clearing and we are going to head over here to the main portion of iron tree clearing. Now, if you are on the Alliance side, there are a lot of quests requiring you to kill horde players, and you are pretty much safe right up until about right here. Anything past here, you'll be marked as PvP. Just a little fun fact. There is a safe zone now. But yeah, there's also quite a bit of little fun goblin housing here. It makes me smile. It does always make me kind of laugh a little bit that the innkeeper doesn't have bunk beds, but the houses do. Or do they have bunk beds? It's been a minute. Yeah, the inn does not have anything that even resembles a sleeping area. It is what it is. Or is it that there isn't even an inn here? I think there isn't even an inn here. Huh. Never even noticed that. Anyway, we're going to move on to the last area before we switch it on over to Beryl, because we're going to talk furbolgs. You know, like I said, I spent so much time grinding reputation at, I think, maybe 3 rep per kill down here in the Fellpaw village. Now you can get their feathers and you can just grind rep with feathers and then move on to Winter Spring where you can grind rep with beads and feathers. It's so much easier than it used to be. But you can come up here and get the quest chain from our dear friends at the Timbermaw Hold, which is Nafin and his sons Beryl and Drizzle, and you can grind out rep to your heart's content. And I think the last time I went from neutral to exalted in about 3 hours. And when I stop and think about the fact that it took me probably a month of solid grinding back in Wrath of the Lich King to get to Exalted with the Timbermaw clan, and when I think of all the times before I got past Hated with them, when I death ran through those caverns to get to Winter Spring, it does make me laugh now. Anyway, we're going to switch over to Beryl and check out the last area of Felwood, which is the Alliance exclusive area, so I will be right back with Beryl. Alright, the last area that Beryl is going to show us is the Talon Branch Glade, which I didn't really know had any actual lore attached to it until I was kind of looking around Wowipedia as I was seeing if there was anything interesting, and darn it, there actually is. So, as per Wikipedia, or Wowipedia, the Talon Branch Glade is an Alliance outpost in the northern parts of Felwood. Gilnean Worgen were sent to Talon Branch in order to help the Night Elves with defending it from the attacking goblins. Before the Cataclysm, the Glade was a small Night Elf post that was comprised of the Moonwell and other Night Elf scenery, but as of the Cataclysm, the Glade now is extended and has Gilnean structures, Gilnean flags, and a large tree that is similar to the tree in the Black Vault. According to the leader, which is right over here, and let's zoom in on her a little bit, that is Den Mother Ulrika, several of the Worgen, possibly including herself that are in Talon Branch, have been around since Valinda Starsong first summoned the Worgen with the Scythe of Elune. They refer to their pack as, or their group as a pack, and they refer to Ulrika as a dead mother, which is not really normal. And in the speculation portion of Wowpedia, Den Mother Ulrika says that a few of her people have lived in the land since the Scythe of Elune first passed through it. This could refer to when the Scythe of Elune really first passed through the land, way back during the War of the Satyr, before Felwood was even cursed. Alternatively, and most likely, she refers to the Kaldori Worgen who were summoned by Valinda Starsong before the events of World of Warcraft Vanilla. They may be packs that left and did not hear Valinda's call, or they could be the remains of the Terrorwolf pack here at the Howling Vale, and they might have left the Terrorwolf pack lord in favor of Den Mother Ulrika. A less likely but still possible, according to Wowpedia, option is that these few might not have been Worgen until the Cataclysm. These might have been night elves that have become so in a similar fashion as the Hillsbrad Worgen did. Den Mother Ulrika also says that most of them suffered through the fall of Gilneas, and in the novel Wolfheart, Gen Greymane and the Gilnean Worgen and the Kaldori forces march on Ashenvale to push back Garrosh Hellscream. This should have been the first introduction of Gilnean Worgen to Ashenvale. Well, some, like Greymane, kept going. Some of the Gilnean Worgen and the Kaldori from that army might have stayed behind, and they might be the Talon Branch pack. So, interesting speculation from Wowpedia, all about this strange group of Worgen who are here at the Talon Branch Glade and don't really refer to themselves the same way as other Worgen do. So I thought that was interesting. I also had to peek inside of the three, they are fancy here, they have 3 outhouses, and see if there was anything interesting, because about 5 months ago, I discovered that one of the outhouses at the Dark Moon Fair has kind of an old god tendril in it, and I thought that was interesting, and ever since then I've been peeking into all of the outhouses that I find in WoW. These are empty, if a little bit scarred up, probably because Worgen. So I thought that was interesting. If you zoom in and actually look at the outhouse, it looks like maybe somebody was a little bit impatient to get in there and somebody else had locked the door. I thought it was kind of funny. The other thing I thought was interesting was it looks like this tree has water coursing down it. So, me being me, I had to go all the way to the top and see if maybe there was a source for the water. There's really not. It just sort of appears starting right there at that branch and coursing all the way down it. I was a little bit excited. I was like, oh my gosh, maybe there's like a little pond at the top or a little house at the top. And there's not. But you know, it was worth a shot. Anyway, that is about it for Felwood. Like I said, it's a fun area to quest in. If you haven't done the Felwood quests, I highly suggest doing them. It's probably a lot easier than it used to be, but it's still a really fun zone. So, next week, we are moving on through that tunnel, and we are going to go right over here to the Moonglade. Not because it's a big area, but it is a very cool area with something that I think is quite unique in the entire game. And so we will see that next week. Until then, leave me a thumbs up if you don't mind. It does always make me smile. If there's anything you would like to see me attempt to recreate from World of Warcraft in The Sims, I am willing to attempt to build almost anything. I'm not a very good builder, but I am enthusiastic about it, and I had a lot of fun recreating the Lion's Rest Inn, the infamous inn from Goldshire in The Sims, and I wouldn't mind trying a few more World of Warcraft builds in The Sims. So if you have any suggestions, leave them for me down below, and until then, I will see you next week in Moonglade. Say goodbye, Beryl. Beryl says goodbye.